across the country. So right now I want to bring in infectious disease specialist Dr. Amesh Adalja to join us. Good morning.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to ask you first off, what is the COVID landscape looking like right now as we wrap up the summer, head into the fall in terms of infections and hospitalizations?
So COVID-19 has increased this summer, just like it's increased every summer that we've been with this virus. And that's because people move indoors to avoid the heat. We have more contagious variants that are circulating. People's immunity may have waned, and people are still traveling all around the country or all around the world and mixing. So that's what's responsible for the increase in cases. But what we're increasingly seeing is that these don't translate into major threats to hospitals, that this is largely a decoupled type of phenomenon, meaning we've got cases in the community, but they're not translating into hospitals in crisis, which is exactly what we sought out to do with this virus, was to make it easier to manage with the tools that science and medicine have given us.
We know one of those tools has been a vaccine for COVID. Why do we need to get updated ones, however, every time we get a new variant or a new season?
Well, what they're trying to do is match the vaccine to what's circulating, what version of the virus is circulating, because that's going to give you more protection. So if you're on target, you're likely to see more protection against getting infected, and it might last longer versus if it's off target, and then maybe you're still protected, obviously, from serious illness, hospitalization, and death, but you don't have that ability to fend off the virus. So that's why they continue to update it. And it's going to be a continual race, just like it is with influenza, to try and keep up with the evolution of the virus and make the best inference to what is going to be circulating when the vaccine comes out. This vaccine that just was approved last week does appear to be pretty strongly on target, which I think is different than some of the other updates. This is now the third update we've seen to COVID vaccines, and this one seems to be the best match that we've seen.
Okay, so that's positive news there. Tell us, who should get this vaccine, and are there any demographics of folks out there who should wait or not get the vaccine at all?
The vaccine is approved basically for everybody. I think that what's most important is that people that have any high risk condition be kind of the first in line. These are people who should be trying to get the vaccine this week. So that means people who are older, people with diabetes, obesity, that are overweight, cardiovascular disease, immunocompromised, lung disease, pregnant. Those are the people that we really want to make sure get this vaccine. They're going to see the most benefit from it. Anybody, lower risk people can get the vaccine. It's not certainly not going to hurt them, and it may provide some protection against infection. We'll have to see how well it holds up, but it's really about preventing severe disease. So those at risk for severe disease, those are the ones that we want to see getting this as quickly as possible.
We know it's a constant battle against misinformation, so I want to give you a chance on the record to explain how we know this vaccine is safe and effective.
Well, there's been billions and billions of doses of this vaccine given to people all around the world. And there are many different systems that are monitoring the safety of this vaccine. And no vaccine has zero side effects. But when you look at the side effects that have occurred, they tend to be very mild, on the order of what you would get with other vaccines. And even the more serious ones, such as myocarditis, that's really something that can be delimited and is not as serious as it sounds in terms of who it occurs in and how to prevent it from occurring. So in general, this vaccine, the risk benefit calculation favors the vaccine in almost every group. And when you look at the number of lives that this vaccine has saved, just looking at what's going on in hospitals in terms of not seeing ICUs crowded with COVID-19 patients, that's the effect of the vaccine. And I think there's been a lot of effort to make sure that this risk benefit calculation is correct. And I do think that this vaccine is one of the safer vaccines that we have. And I think people should be reassured that there's constant analysis of the data to make sure that there is no safety signal that's worrisome that's arisen.
And finally, I'll ask you, you talked about the spike that we saw over the summer as we head into the winter and the fall, most recently coming up, the fall here. What should we expect with this virus?
Well, we've seen acceleration of this virus in summer seasons as well as in winter seasons. So we should expect, as people get back to school, as children start mixing again, and as the virus it transmits more efficiently in colder weather, when again people are indoors, that we will see an increase in cases. So that's why getting this vaccine into high risk individuals before the start of that fall season makes a lot of sense. But I think we should be prepared to see increase in activity of COVID-19, increase activity of influenza, increase activity of RSV, and a whole host of respiratory viruses. So it's really important that people use the tools that science and medicine have delivered to us.
Dr. Amesh Adalja, thank you so much for your time and your insight this morning.